or act cold and distant afterward until you come back and prove your loyalty. This type of emotional manipulation is strategic. The more isolated you become, the more dependent you are on them for validation, support, and connection. You begin to feel as though maintaining the friendship requires distancing yourself from anyone who might question the narcissist's behavior or encourage you to set healthy boundaries. If you do try to reconnect with others or expand your social circle, they may stir up drama, accuse you of abandoning them, or even spread subtle rumors to sabotage your relationships. Their goal is control, and isolation gives them power. When you're cut off from outside perspectives, it's easier for them to distort your reality and keep you in a position where you prioritize their needs over your own. In healthy friendships, people encourage your growth, your independence, and your connections with others. A narcissistic friend may gradually begin to isolate you from other people in your life, and what makes this behavior especially damaging is how subtle and manipulative it often is. It doesn't usually start with direct orders or obvious control. Instead, it might come through little comments that plant seeds of doubt, questioning the intentions of your other friends, pointing out flaws in your relationships, or suggesting that others don't care about you as much as they do. They may frame themselves as your only true friend, the one who really gets you, while subtly tearing down your trust in everyone else. Over time, you may find yourself pulling away from people you were once close to, not because of open conflict, but because your narcissistic friend has quietly influenced your perception. They may express jealousy when you spend time with others, guilt trip you for making plans without them. You end up spending more time defending your right to feel upset than actually resolving the issue at hand. Over time, this dynamic teaches you that bringing up concerns isn't worth the emotional labor. You start to internalize their deflections, wondering if maybe it really was your fault or if you're just overreacting. But the truth is, healthy friends make mistakes too, and they own them. They listen, apologize, and make an effort to do better. A narcissistic friend, on the other hand, will double down on their behavior, rewrite the past, or guilt trip you into silence. Even when presented with clear facts, they might laugh it off, make excuses, or accuse you of misremembering things. Their lack of accountability creates an unsafe emotional environment where your needs and experiences are consistently dismissed or invalidated. It becomes impossible to grow or repair the friendship because one person is never willing to admit they've done anything wrong. And even if exaggerated or fabricated, the competition may not always be obvious. It can come in the form of passive-aggressive comments, constant comparisons, or subtle attempts to outdo in conversations, achievements, or even appearance. Sometimes they'll mimic your interests or goals, not because they're genuinely inspired, but because they want to reclaim the attention or admiration you've received. Over time, this dynamic can feel suffocating. Instead of feeling supported, you feel like you're in a constant, unspoken contest. It's exhausting, because you're not trying to compete, you're simply living your life. But with a narcissistic friend, every step forward you take is treated like a challenge to their ego. Their inability to celebrate your growth without feeling diminished reveals the fragile self-image they're hiding beneath their surface of confidence. True friendship isn't a race, even if exaggerated or fabricated. The competition may not always be obvious. It can come in the form of passive-aggressive comments, constant comparisons, or subtle attempts to outdo in conversations, achievements, or even appearance. Sometimes they'll mimic your interests or goals, not because they're genuinely inspired, but because they want to reclaim the attention or admiration you've received. Over time, this dynamic can feel suffocating. Instead of feeling supported, you feel like you're in a constant, unspoken contest. It's exhausting, because you're not trying to compete, you're simply living your life. But with a narcissistic friend, every step forward you take is treated like a challenge to their ego. Their inability to celebrate your growth without feeling diminished reveals the fragile self-image they're hiding beneath their surface of confidence. True friendship isn't a race. A narcissistic friend often views your life not through the lens of genuine companionship, but through a distorted lens of rivalry and comparison. In a healthy friendship, there's room for both people to shine, grow, and succeed without jealousy or tension. But when a narcissist is in your life, your progress can feel like a threat to them. Rather than being happy for you, they interpret your accomplishments as a personal challenge, as if your success somehow overshadows them or steals attention they feel entitled to. Instead of cheering you on, they try to match or surpass you. If you get a promotion, they suddenly talk about a huge opportunity they're pursuing. If you share that you're in a happy relationship, they may criticize your partner or suddenly flaunt their own romantic experiences. "I was just trying to help," or "you're too sensitive," making you feel guilty for standing up for yourself. In group settings, they may plant seeds of doubt in others about you, subtly framing you as unstable, unreliable, or overly emotional while maintaining their own image as calm and rational. These tactics are not just hurtful, they're destabilizing. They erode your confidence and make you second-guess even your clearest instincts. You may begin to isolate yourself, fearing that others see you the way your narcissistic friend does, or that maybe they're right about you after all. This emotional confusion is exactly what a narcissist wants, because the more disoriented you are, the easier it is for them to stay in control. A true friend helps you feel more grounded, more sure of yourself, not like you're constantly trying to prove your reality or justify your feelings just to be understood. One of the more psychologically damaging traits of a narcissistic friend is their ability to make you question your own perception of reality. This often happens subtly at first, through small dismissals or contradictions. You might bring up something they said or did that hurt you, and instead of acknowledging it, they'll deny it ever happened, insist you misunderstood, or accuse you of overreacting. This is a form of gaslighting and manipulation tactic that causes you to doubt your memory, your emotions, and eventually your own judgment. Over time, you may find yourself apologizing for things you didn't do, minimizing your feelings, or relying on them to interpret what's really going on, even when your gut tells you something isn't right. Narcissistic friends are often skilled at rewriting events to suit their narrative. If you confront them about a boundary they crossed, they may twist the story to make themselves the victim and you the aggressor. They'll say things like, at times they might give you a compliment that feels forced or hollow, or they might offer backhanded praise that makes you second-guess yourself, such as, wow, I didn't expect that from you, or well, I guess anything is possible these days. In more extreme cases, they may try to undermine your confidence entirely, pointing out flaws in your achievement, questioning how you got it, or subtly suggesting that you didn't deserve it. This behavior stems from deep insecurity. Your success threatens their sense of superiority, and rather than feeling inspired or happy for you, they feel diminished, as if your shine somehow takes away from theirs. They struggle to handle moments where the attention isn't on them, and rather than support you, they may create distance, act indifferent, or even stir up drama to pull focus back onto themselves. Over time, this pattern can make you feel hesitant to share good news or proud moments with them. Another powerful indicator that your friend may be a narcissist is their inability or unwillingness to genuinely celebrate your success. In most healthy friendships, accomplishments are shared and celebrated with excitement and pride. Your win feels like a shared joy because your friend truly cares about your growth and happiness. But with a narcissistic friend, your achievements often provoke discomfort, envy, or even subtle sabotage. When you share good news, instead of responding with enthusiasm or encouragement, they may downplay it, change the subject, or compare it to something they've done, usually framing their own accomplishments as more impressive or important. They may monopolize your time with their needs and problems, but show little to no interest in yours. When you're with them, you might feel like you're performing, trying to live up to their expectations, gain their approval, or avoid their criticism. And when you're not with them, you might find yourself replaying conversations in your mind, feeling guilty, or wondering why you never feel truly seen or appreciated. In healthy friendships, spending time together should leave you feeling valued, supported, and understood. But with a narcissistic friend, you often leave feeling used, emotionally bruised, or just empty. This chronic emotional fatigue can affect your self-esteem, your peace of mind, and even your ability to trust other relationships. Over time, what should be a source of joy becomes a source of stress, and the weight of maintaining that friendship starts to feel more like a burden than a bond. One of the most telling signs that you're in a friendship with a narcissist is how you consistently feel after interacting with them, emotionally drained, mentally exhausted, or even anxious. At first, this may be subtle. You might brush it off as a rough day or assume you're just tired. But over time, you begin to realize that this sense of depletion happens every time you're with them. That's because narcissistic friendships are rarely mutual. They take far more than they give. You may find yourself constantly walking on eggshells, carefully choosing your words to avoid upsetting them, or overthinking every interaction, wondering if you said or did something wrong. The effort to maintain the relationship falls mostly on your shoulders. You're the one initiating conversations, smoothing over conflicts, offering support, and trying to keep the peace while they remain distant, demanding, or dismissive. They might twist the conversation around to make it seem like you're the one with the problem, or accuse you of being too sensitive, unfair, or disloyal. Some narcissists respond with anger, snapping, yelling, or making cutting remarks to shut you down, while others might go cold and silent, using the silent treatment to punish you emotionally. They might even play the victim, pretending they're the ones being attacked in order to gain sympathy from others or shift blame back onto you. These reactions are all designed to protect their carefully constructed ego and avoid accountability. Over time, you may begin to silence yourself, avoiding conflict and swallowing your feelings just to keep the peace. You stop expressing your needs because you've learned it's safer not to. This kind of dynamic is deeply unhealthy, and it reinforces the idea that their comfort and pride matter more. One of the clearest signs you might be dealing with a narcissistic friend is how they react when they're questioned, corrected, or challenged in any way. For most people, constructive criticism or honest feedback is a natural part of healthy relationships. It helps us grow, understand each other better, and build trust. But for a narcissist, even the slightest hint of criticism can feel like a personal attack. Their sense of self is so fragile and inflated that they can't tolerate the idea that they might be wrong, flawed, or less than perfect. If you try to express how their words hurt you, or if you ask for a simple change in behavior, they may immediately become defensive, dismissive, or even aggressive. You may also notice that they guilt trip you for spending time with others, or suggest that you owe them loyalty because of things they've done for you, even if those things were minimal or self-serving. They may disguise control as concern, making you feel bad for making your own choices or expressing independence. Over time, you might start to doubt your own judgment, walking on eggshells just to keep the peace. Their validation becomes addictive, not because it's genuine, but because they've trained you to associate their approval with your sense of self-worth. What's dangerous is that this dynamic often develops gradually, leaving you emotionally entangled before you realize how manipulated you've become. The truth is, in healthy friendships, support and care are offered freely, not used as bargaining chips to control your actions or your emotions. A narcissistic friend often sees relationships not as mutual connections, but as opportunities to feed their ego or exert control. To them, people are tools used to gain admiration, attention, or power. This means your worth to them is often tied directly to how well you serve their needs. They may shower you with compliments or affection, but only when it suits them or helps them get something in return. At first, this can feel flattering, like they truly value you or think highly of you, but over time, the praise becomes conditional. As soon as you disagree with them, set a boundary, or stop playing into their narrative, their tone shifts. They might suddenly withdraw, criticize you, or act cold and dismissive. This hot and cold behavior is intentional, even if they don't fully realize it. It's a form of emotional manipulation designed to keep you off balance and eager to win back their approval. They just don't connect with your feelings unless those feelings somehow affect their image, reputation, or convenience. In fact, when you're in pain or struggling, it may actually frustrate them because it distracts from their narrative or demands attention they don't want to give. Over time, this emotional disconnect can make you feel alone even when you're with them. You may find yourself second-guessing whether you're asking for too much, when in reality, you're simply expecting basic human compassion. True empathy means sitting with someone in their discomfort, offering support without making it about yourself, and respecting another person's emotional experience. And that's something narcissistic individuals consistently fail to do. A defining trait of a narcissistic friend is their inability or unwillingness to genuinely empathize with others. While they may appear caring on the surface, often saying the right things or mimicking concern, their responses typically feel shallow or performative. When you open up to them about something vulnerable or emotionally significant, you might notice a glazed look in their eyes, an abrupt change of subject, or even subtle signs of irritation that the conversation isn't very. They might interrupt with stories of their own, make jokes at the wrong moment, or offer advice that feels more self-serving than supportive. And if they do express sympathy, it's often short-lived or quickly turned into a comparison with their own experiences. This lack of emotional presence can be especially confusing because it doesn't always come across as overt cruelty. It's more like emotional absence. Like sharing a major achievement or exciting news, they may react with envy, downplay your success, or immediately pivot to something impressive they've done. It's emotionally exhausting because it creates a dynamic where your role becomes secondary. You're not really a friend in their eyes, but more of an audience. You may begin to notice that you hesitate to share anything at all because deep down you know it's going to be dismissed, minimized, or stolen as fuel for their ego. Over time, this pattern chips away at your self-worth and makes the friendship feel unbalanced and unsatisfying. One of the most obvious and draining traits of a narcissistic friend is their constant need to be the center of attention. No matter what the topic of conversation is, they will find a way to shift the spotlight back onto themselves. You could be talking about something deeply personal, a family issue, a stressful work situation, or even a health scare, and somehow the conversation will be hijacked and redirected to their own experiences. What starts as you opening up about your struggles might quickly become a monologue about how they had it worse, how they handled something similar better, or how they are uniquely burdened in ways no one else can understand. Over time, this behavior leaves you feeling invisible, as though your feelings and stories don't matter unless they serve as a backdrop to theirs, even in moments where you might expect support or celebration.